and welcome to today's launch. We have the Eve space orbital mission underway. We have the propulsion module already in orbit, which we're going to be joining shortly as it needs a quick correction to the orbit before we launch the station. We also have a crew mission, of course, lined up to bring the crew up to the Eve mission. And then we will be sending our crew off to Eve on a 100-day transfer. It will consume approximately 3,000 meters per second of delta V. However, the Death Engineering team believes that it is worth the extra delta V to get to Eve quickly because we want to get down and enjoy all the tasty science that Eve has to offer. Alright, before we get to the launch today, we do have a quick course correction. Jump. And as you can see, we have lost an engine before we even hooked up the payload. Right after deployment of the propulsion module here, a quick test of the engines showed us that one of the 4 nuclear engines had a repairable failure. Luckily, it is repairable. That'll give the engineers something to do as soon as they get up to the station before they even leave Kerbin orbit. Well, we're just about to our apoapsis, where we would need to raise our periapsis approximately 5 kilometers. We're watching down here from 121. We're going to want to get that up to around 126. In order to keep our thrust balanced, we've turned off this engine here, so we'll be using only these 2 nuclear engines. We'll definitely need to get those repaired before we get off to Eve here. And there we go. We've raised that altitude 5 kilometers. We've now got a fairly circularized orbit, and let's go ahead and get the Eve mission up into the propulsion module's at 126 kilometers, so we're going to get the Eve station up to around 140 kilometers, and then we'll fly the propulsion module up to dock with it, as the Eve module itself has virtually no propulsion, strictly just RCS thrusters to control orientation. All right, we have everything ready to launch. We have the propulsion stage in a good orbit. We are now going to launch the Eve station and the crew station already on standby, ready to go. Looks like we just had some rain here, and we are going to get off the ground before the next storm hits. Looks like it's a pretty bad one. Ignition in 3, 2, 1. All engines lit. Full throttle. You're off. Everything's looking good so far. We are well into our gravity turn. We need to bring this up to approximately 140 kilometers. Primary stage here will be recovered propulsively. You're now at 85 kilometers, 90 kilometers apoapsis. And 100 kilometers apoapsis reached. Let's drop our primary stage. That stage will be recovered propulsively. We should get updates here. Some messages. We should get updates here on its progress. In the meantime, let's prepare for the rest of our burn. Let's push this up to 140. Alright, all engines are lit. 135, 140. Let's get that orbital insertion burn plotted. Looks like we have only a 24-second burn. It's not going to take very long. 561 meters per second. lights have lit for our orbital insertion burn, always a good sign. We should be hearing about our first stage here shortly. All right, well, we are now in a slightly higher orbit than we wanted there. Delta V. Oh, there we go. We got an update from our stage recovered. Propulsion stage was landed, let's see here, how far away we have recovered 84.1% of the value based on how far we had to go to get it. Remaining fuel, 0. That's pretty close. I did not realize that their fuel margins were that close on the landing. Terminal velocity is 6.86. Propulsive landing. We don't need to run the margins quite that close. We may have to redesign that one down. A little bit of extra fuel for the recovery. Run. However, we're in a sufficient enough orbit that we can go ahead and begin our rendezvous and docking. So let's go ahead and drop the fairing. Get rid of our propulsion stage that got us up. That stage will be dropped to the ocean. Over almost 5,000 electrical units. That'd be plenty. So we're not going to bother trying to raise the solar panels at this time. Let's go get the crew. Now, before we get the crew up to the mission, we do need to dock the two halves together, so let's get that underway. We have an 18.7 meter per second burn coming up in approximately 1 hour. Obviously, KSP still is not able to calculate Delta V correctly when an engine plate is in use. Don't let that red bar fool you. This thing is nothing but Delta V. However, I do believe if we do a quick adjustment to the stages here, it does correctly display. So 8,354 meters per second of Delta V when it's not got a payload on board. It'll take a while. Let's go ahead and just use a little bit of the nuclear engines, light 2 of them up. Okay, let's see how that worked out. So we are down to 800 meters in 7 minutes. Let's try to tweak that a bit. And there we go. Quick adjustment with the RCS, and just entering into sunrise here. We are now targeted for a 9-meter separation and traveling around 81.8 meters per second when we get there. Let's go and spin ahead to our encounter. Yeah, there it is, 7 kilometers away. And closing quickly. When we're within about 1 kilometer, we'll light those nuclear engines again and start slowing down. You know, I don't think 1 kilometer is going to do it. I think we're going to light those engines at around 2 kilometers. Just after we enter physics range. Flying directly over one of our ground-based antennas here. Definitely not going to lose connection now. Start slowing it down. Okay, let's go have a look and see what we need to do to get aligned here. We need to control from the docking port, and we have the correct target. Okay, we are aligned. Let's begin to move in and dock. Try to minimize the use of the SAS so that we can save as much of the RCS as possible, as well as not drift too far off course. And let's finish the docking actually with the station, as it does have a little bit better control. Okay, well, we have our station in place. Looks like we have, in the middle here, of course, a quick drop tank. Let's set the staging on that. All right, well, let's go get the crew. Okay, we have our crew ready to launch into orbit. This launch has 4 on board, but only 3 will be going off to Eve. Returning back to the ground will be Gussel. However, he's the engineer who will perform the spacewalk to basically do a tune-up and everything, and also to correct the problem with the nuclear engine that failed on ignition. You see the space station is overhead now. We'll be launching shortly. Three, 2, 1. Engine light, full throttle and release. We are off. This is virtually the same version as the crew launcher we've been using the last several missions, with only the addition of a extra seat up on top. So this is capable of sending 4 crew into orbit and returning them safe. It has the same ground or water landing capability. In this case, we have 4 crew going up. 3 will be staying on board the station, and the 4th here, Gus, will be returning back after he does his tune-up of the mission. Okay, first stage complete. Separation and good ignition of all 4 engines. Okay, we have an 82-kilometer apoapsis. We are 0.7 degrees off of our target orbit, which is fantastic. It should only take a quick adjustment here at apoapsis to get into an encounter. Okay, orbital insertion burn has begun. Jettison the tower. Okay, we are in orbit now. Obviously, this has a lot more delta V, as it is intended to have the ability to launch the 4 crew into a lunar orbit. We're going to drop that stage and rely strictly on the command module stage here. As you can see, we do have a failure on that solar panel. That can actually that could be Gus's first order of business, actually. Let's go ahead and let Gus get out there and repair that solar panel. Hey guys. Hey, you're gonna really like Eve, you know. That hair color will match its atmosphere nicely, I should think. We have Gus here outfitted with the upgraded EVA suit, as he'll be performing most of the work here on the space station before we head off to Eve. Not quite close enough there to repair that solar panel. There we go. Go ahead and give it a tweak. Perfect. Go ahead and extend that solar panel now. Make sure you're not going to get hit by it. Alright, well there we go. We have 4 working solar panels. Once again. Well done, Gussel. Appreciate the effort. And we have a 45 meter per second burn. For this burn, we'll be using the auxiliary engines. Shut the mains down. There is a bit of an inclination change here, it looks like, so We'll have the burn underway. It's going to get us to within around 100 meters. Down to around 3 kilometers. See if we can adjust that a bit. One minute to our encounter, and it looks like we are coming right into daylight at the perfect time. Looks like we overshot this one a little bit. No problem at all. I think it's a perfect place to park right now. All right, let's go ahead and get that engine repaired. Gus, we have one more mission for you. Finally got ourselves a decent-sized spacecraft here. Stay away from that solar panel, though, Gus. It's repaired. Give an inspection. And while we're here, let's do an inspection of all the engines. Okay, looks like it hasn't even been used. Well, this will last for ages, he says. Let's hope so. Gus is back on board. We have a few more crew here to deal with. Thanks for repairing that engine, Gus. We'll try not to break it. All right, we are aboard. First crew aboard our Eve mission craft. Everything is looking A-okay. And you see, coming along on our mission here, we are bringing Bob, one of the original Kerbals. He is going off in his first interplanetary mission. Somehow he skipped the flight assignment up until now. We have one more Kerbal to bring across. That's you, Bob. You'll be going back on your own there, Gussel. Alright, we are leaving Gussel behind. And Bob, you go ahead and take your seat. We'll have you off to Eve here shortly. Perfect spot for you, Bob. And before we depart, let's make sure everything is looking good on the space station. Solar panels have deployed. Looking perfect. Let's do a quick systems check here. Now the need service here is the command pod. This is part of our mission that Gus is in. He'll be going home with that needs service. Also the needs service here, the thruster block. This is a lot of things that need service here, so I'm just going to make sure. So let's go ahead and send Gussel here on his way. Yeah, okay, look, everything's gone green. Perfect, okay. We are all green here on the Eve mission. Luckily, Gussel is not going very far in this in here. It looks like it desperately needs service. Let's bring Gussel home. Looks like we're coming down just north of Round Range. Okay, Gussel, go ahead and drop your command module. We've got you set for a solid Earth landing instead of a splashdown. I hope you've got your seatbelt on nice and snug. Don't worry, we'll drop that heat shield and send some landing legs out to help with the impact. We'll see you on the ground. Looks like Gus is going to have a little walk around. Starting to pick some G-forces there, Gus. Okay, back on your seat. Fantastic re-entry effects provided by Firefly. Radio communication blackout. Okay, let's go ahead and arm those chutes. And prepare to drop that heat shield. Okay, chutes on their first stage deployment. Chutes fully deployed. Heat shield dropped, landing legs have extended and locked in place. And Gussel's down safe and sound. Looks like we've got a storm rolling in. We're going to go ahead and recover Gussel here, and thanks a lot for going up to the station, getting the Eve crew up and docked, repairing the nuclear engines, and of course doing a test flight of this 4-crew command module. For now, however, we're going to go ahead and wrap up part 1 here of the Eve mission. This gets our crew and the mission up into orbit and ready to depart. The next video we'll be releasing shortly will have the planning of the 100-day burn, which will get us out into Eve orbit. and hope to see you there. Thanks a lot for joining. Have an awesome day.